Hello, everybody. Dan from DelMain, and this is Debbie from Dental Practice Solutions. This is the first time we've ever done a Facebook Live session here at DelMain, and truth be told, we were originally trying to set it up through Debbie's Facebook Live, and lo and behold, here we're doing it through DelMain's Facebook Live. And I'll kind of turn things over to Debbie to kind of introduce everybody, kind of an indirect relationship, and kind of what we're going to be talking about today.
So Dan and we met probably about a year ago, and I didn't know who he was, but I wanted to oblige and write something for him. And then lo and behold, about a year later, I find out your office is 20 minutes from my office without traffic, but now the traffic's really bad. It takes longer, but we got together, and I mean, we just have so many twists and turns, and we're like 2 degrees from separation. And I know that your people who are watching us here live already know this, but I wanted to just I want to share you with the world. And I want to spread your name out there as if he's not already successful. I'm at his big 10,000 square foot office here. But yeah, he's like an empire builder, and he's young, right? Like, I just had to tell you guys about him because as soon as we met, we had so much in common, not only people that we know in dentistry, but just we both are voracious readers. Well, Dan's trying to be humble and say that he doesn't always read like he has been, but I guess I put a fire under his butt. And we've been reading these books, okay? So, and then we wanted to just share with you some of our insights, because I know the doctors, we're going to be sharing this on my Facebook page for my business. Dental Practice Solutions is my Facebook page. And we just want to share some of this information that helps doctors to live a great life and not have to work so hard in their office. So, you know, I met with Dan, and for some reason we got on the topic of books. Dan loved this book.
Yes, that was kind of a game changer for me about 2-3 years ago. I'd read a lot of business books up until this point, and this is the one I really feel like I latched onto. And then about a week later, Debbie recommended Get a Grip by Gino Wickman, which is, the Get a Grip is a great book because it kind of follows the story of a fictitious company that's struggling and turns things around. And everything in this book is very applicable to pretty much in all industries, including dental. And this is sort of like the follow-up Bible that actually kind of puts everything to practice and has all like sort of the strategies built in. So I read this book about a week ago, and I've really fallen in love with it. And it's just exciting because it gets all your gadgets turning, like how and what you're going to pull from your reading and implement directly into your practice or your business. And so hopefully we'll kind of share some of our takeaways, some of the stuff that I've implemented with scaling up in my business, and I'm sure Debbie will speak to some things in traction.
So yeah, Dan was telling me some of the things that he learned in scaling up here, and he's using that with his business and his employees. And when Dan recommended this book to me, I thought this was a great book because it helped me so that I can help my clients, our clients, with their employees. And Dan does some specific things with his employees, which I really thought was prudent. Every week he meets. How many employees do you have?
14.
14, and
14.
You meet with each one like 15 minutes a week?
So the cadence that I've developed is we actually meet once a month.
Oh, once a month, okay.
Yeah, and it's a 30-minute session with a 15-minute buffer. And I realized, like, at a certain point, that's going to be unsustainable as we grow the business. And we're kind of evolving that model to either be shorter of the time or kind of a larger cadence where we meet every other month.
Okay.
But it's been, I guess, absolutely spectacular. Should we just jump in right there? Should we just kind of
jump in? I mean, I love that you're doing that, and I want to start doing that, and I want to recommend that our doctors do that. Like, most doctors don't even do an annual review, and they lose touch with their employees and what's going on. So I thought that was really important.
So let's start there. I'll kind of dive into it. So this is a sort of a strategy that came from Vern Lundquist scaling up. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And the idea is within those meetings, one of the things that I'm really trying to get from my team is there's not a lot of preparation for the meeting, but one of the very important things, a requirement, that they come to the meeting ready to speak to what's called a start, a stop, or a keep. So what can the company start doing? what should the company stop doing, and what should we keep doing. Okay, and I feel like this makes a lot of sense, especially when you get into it, because as a business owner, it's like your periphery and what you're looking at is this. It's fairly narrow, right? But when you have an entire army around you looking at all the different facets of the business that you might not be touching on a daily basis, like you learn from them, and they ultimately fix a lot of problems within your business. Right, so I'm trying to think of some of my favorite start, stop, keeps from over the past like 5+ years I've been doing this, and it could be something as innocuous from like, I noticed we don't have a microwave in the break room. Like everybody's been asking for that, Dan. Let's get that, right? And as a business owner, like you're so focused on certain things, like you don't see sort of the larger picture. So there's that, or like there's certain things where an employee points out that there's sort of redundancy. For example, like maybe sometimes like you find that you are just like having meetings for the sake of having meetings, right?
And a lot of doctors don't want to have meetings because they feel that they're a waste of time and just sitting there having a bitch session.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so then like, let's say like your team member comes to that meeting with you and they say, you know, I really feel like this all company meeting, maybe it's a little bit too heavy on people. Maybe like Joe doesn't need to be there from the hygiene department. Maybe this person doesn't need, maybe we can have a smaller team and get just as much impact. And the beauty of that is those people that aren't in the meeting, like they could be doing things within the hygiene department or elsewhere and actually working towards like billable items.
Yeah.
So the start, stop, keep is basically, it's people in your business coming to meet you, whether it's once a month, once a week, once every other month, and they're telling you what you should start, stop, or keep doing. And if you just latch onto those things, they will build your business in a positive direction for you.
I really like, now I don't know that I've gotten to that part in the book, but what I liked is they gave some tips. You highlighted some of those things. There are some tips on what to look for when hiring people. And then there was that one area that, they had the 3 words, I can't remember them, but they've got a lot of tables in here. And that's what I like. We're gonna actually talk. I wanted to segue over to something. So one of the things that you were reminding me of when you were talking about those meetings and the people are coming to you and they're like, oh, we need the microwave. Oh, we want this, you know. Well, who's going to make sure that gets done? Because you're the visionary, you're doing a lot. And so are you also the implementer? That's where this book comes in.
Yeah. And, you know, it goes back to, taken from a different book called The E-Myth, which also is another great book.
Love that book.
It's like are you working in your business? Or are you working on your business, right? So if you're spending time to come through like Home Depot and which microwave is best for the practice, then it's probably not the best use of your time, right? So like delegation, finding those key people on your team that are.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important message to the doctors that are listening to this, is because a lot of times I'll be at a conference and doctors are talking to me and they're like, well, I really like what you're saying. I really want to hire you, but I do, and they're doing everything. And come to find out, the bottom line numbers reflect that. And they're thinking, and they just, so you got to learn, and that's hard. I know it was hard for me to let go of certain things.
It's hard for me as well. Like we just got to 14 people recently, and I just hired my first-time office manager.
Oh.
And this is something I should have done 5 years ago.
Oh my.
Right? It's if you're thinking about it, and you've been thinking about it for a couple of years, it's probably better to just do it, right?
Oh my gosh. I think that's a key word.
Sorry to interject here, Debbie, but like I think a good way to think about this is to think of your billable time as $1,000 an hour. Okay. So if you're billing at $1,000 per hour, should you be doing certain sort of mundane tasks that can be delegated, that are not sort of part of the visionary, or driving the bottom line, or making those decisions that really grow the company, right? Like thinking of your time at $1,000 per hour. Whether you bill at that or not, that doesn't matter, but just really, really appreciate your time.
And I think, everything that you're saying, I hope there are a lot of doctors listening to this, because I really think it's important for doctors. Like I always try to talk to our doctors about, I mean, seriously, I show them how to produce $800 an hour. That's their production.
Yeah.
And you're right. So doctors that are watching this, they need to listen to that, because that's true, that they can be doing at least $800 an hour. And then they're thinking their hygienist, what they're doing is $250 an hour.
Exactly, right?
So there's your $1,000.
Yeah, there you go. So what are some of your big takeaways from Get a Grip and Traction that you think that really apply to dentists?
I mean, with Traction, I started with Traction first, and I really liked the EOS system.
Mm-hmm.
But
which is?
It's the executive operating system.
Mm-hmm.
So we've worked with some big practices, and dentistry is turning into this corporate,
Mm-hmm.
Group practices where we've got multiple offices. We've worked with offices where they had 6 hygienists, 4 doctors, 10 assistants. And we have delegated a leader of each department. So we'll have a marketing department, a finance department, front office, hygiene lead, and then a doctor lead. So, and then we have the owner that will be at they're part of the EOS. The executive
Mm-hmm.
operating system is the owner.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll have the lead doctor, the lead hygienist, the lead front office person, a lead from the financial area, and a lead from the marketing. So there are probably about 6, let's say there are 6 departments in a dental practice,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a group practice or a large practice with all these doctors. Once a week, they have a 2-hour meeting actually, and they schedule that out. So it'll be every Tuesday from 10 to 12, or maybe every Wednesday from 12 to 2. And they have rocks that they're working on. They have quarterly meetings, and they create what are the rocks, and then they talk about how they're going to move the rocks. And at the quarterly meetings, all of those 6 leaders come with their own reports and their own rocks and what they need to accomplish.
So for the listeners out there, Debbie, who haven't read Traction and Get a Grip, which they should, hopefully we'll push them in that direction. Can you define for the listeners, like, what are rocks? What exactly are those? And maybe what else is a part of that sort of leadership meeting?
So a rock could be that you have a lot of patients calling and leaving messages that they can't show up, or you have a lot of patients that no show. So it's open holes in your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I also read a book, and we're not talking about this today. It's The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And all these books kind of merge together. And so what we have developed for our clients is a scorecard.
And that's another thing that they talk about within Traction. But
yes.
continue, Debbie.
So with that scorecard, so the doctor, as we're working, the leader of the team, who is the owner, will actually have their overarching, I call it their big audacious goal for the year. Mm-hmm. So for example, one of our clients has a schedule that it's full of patients, and that schedule meets the production goal. So every one of those 6 people that I talked about has it's a team wildly important goal, and that's on their scorecard. And on their team wildly important goal is the rock they're going to move.
Excellent.
And we keep score. We are their accountability partners that they send us. We expect to see the scorecard every week. And we can tell, especially even the doctors, so the lead doctor is helping the doctors know what is their rock. And every doctor has to go, even though they're the doctor, they still are part of the team. Even though they're the owner, they're still part of the team. And they need to put their check marks in the scorecard.
And typically in that role, the head honcho, the owner, is typically like in the visionary seat, right?
Correct.
And going back to, actually, because this is very fresh in my mind, going back to what you talked about is like those different department heads that join this, I guess, like the meetings. For like some of like the smaller dentists out there, practices that maybe don't have those each individual chairs yet, like what sort of things like should they be thinking about? And kind of like what comes to mind, I'm kind of driving you to this question, is like the accountability chart, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about
So a lot of the offices, I mean, a typical practice we'll work with has maybe a doctor, one doctor. It could be just one doctor, one hygienist, an assistant in the front office. And I still am going to recommend that you schedule out 2 hours, especially when we're working with a doctor and they've got their goals in front of them. And like now we're getting into halfway through this 2019, we're almost halfway there, believe it or not. And so it's important now's the time halfway through this year to look at where are we? Like I was talking to a doctor today and he's like, I think we're on track. I go, great, let's bump it up 10%. So let's look at our rocks. And everyone, so they have one hygienist, but it's going to be the hygienist, the doctor, the assistant, the front office. They've got to meet every 2 hours. Sounds like a lot of time. It sounds like, oh my gosh, you're talking down like $1,000 an hour. That could be $2,000 of production time. No, you actually take an hour for lunch, right? So bring in some lunch. How much does that cost for pizza? Maybe Subway another week, or have a potluck. And then you are going to gain $10,000 for that $1,000 that you think you lost because of that working on your business.
Yeah, and I think that's the other important part too. It's sort of okay, just because you might be a 3 to 5 person operation, and like in a couple of years you're aspiring to be bigger. Maybe you open up in a location, you bring on, add more operators, bring on an associate dentist. So you're thinking about like growth, right? So you want to think like you're a 20 person operation or a 40 person operation, right? And like build that structure now, like get in that mindset, get in that mode right now with everything that you were just describing.
Right. So yeah, do you know some of these people that are here, Dan? Chelsea Morrissey joined, and Chelsea, you love it. Thank you. Who's Chelsea?
Chelsea's
nice to meet you.
Chelsea's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
We go way back. She is outside of the dental world.
Okay, Chelsea, thanks.
She is a social media rock star.
Oh my gosh, Chelsea, thanks. Tell all the world of dentistry that we're here, and he's a genius. I think he's so smart, and I want to share Dan with all the dental industry leaders and dentists that are our clients. I just really, we could go on, but I know it's Friday night. I just want to say that Dan is just such a giver. He's a go-giver.
Well, thank
I think
you.
there's a book called that. But yeah, he's just a really good person, and I can tell that he's got this great synergy, and I feel like there are these molecules that have put us together. And I just really feel grateful and blessed to have met you, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I know that you do great work because you wouldn't just take up your time to do things that you're doing.
Yeah, when we got together a couple Fridays ago over coffee, and we were just kind of talking a little bit about, some of our more interesting like reading materials and like kind of like building the business type concepts. And I think one thing that I think that we find, another word to describe synergy is alignment. I feel like the two of us are very much in alignment. And one of the things that Debbie is going to be going live with come June 6th, it's currently in beta testing, is the Dental Practice University. And I'm really excited about it. I've been collaborating with Debbie a little bit to get that up and running. And I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of our individual dentists to get them going in this hygiene sort of training program, if you will. And Debbie, I'll let you speak to
it's
that.
a huge umbrella. Think of Amazon, think of Netflix, and it's a site where you can go for training. You get AGD credits up to 24 a year. And you have training materials. I'm very, I consider myself to be the hygiene department expert. That's my expertise, is the hygiene department, but I take a team approach. I started out working in a dental office when I was 17. You can tell it's just a few years ago, right? Sitting next to Dan, you can tell right now.
I should be doing the same.
So anyways, I started young. I was office manager and dental assistant. And so I've really wanted to share my knowledge. And 20 years ago, I started my business, Dental Practice Solutions. And I want to touch a lot of dental professionals with my knowledge. So it's 14 days for free, although you do need to put your credit card in And on the 15th day, if you don't cancel, we hope you stay. It's $97 a month. And you get all the training that you need for your front office to answer the phone correctly, to handle the new patients correctly. From the moment they go to your website, because we're going to have Dan, we want Dan to share some of his info in there too. But then what happens when they go to your website and see you, all the way to what happens after they leave the office. You know, we're looking at metrics, you know, key performance indicators, and what I'm seeing is that a lot of patients come to your office, but how long do they stay a patient for 18 months? I would say not even 60% of those new patients are staying in the practice for 18 months. Yeah. It's a revolving door.
And I think one of my favorite stats that Debbie has given me as it relates to hygiene departments within dental organizations, it's like your hygiene department, correct me if I'm wrong, should be 30%
of the total production.
So like that's a good metric to think about if you're a dentist. Like if you're considerably below 30%, then the dental practice university is absolutely for you.
Yes, it's very robust with hygiene, but we can't have a productive and profitable hygiene department unless the whole team participates in that. Mm-hmm. So that's where I think I'm different, is I don't just come and work with the hygiene department. We work with everybody. So in the dental practice university, there's something for every one of your team members, including the doctors.
Yeah.
Well,
that's an amazing Friday session.
I know. We've had a great almost 2 hours. We've been chatting. He and I can talk forever. Dan is just so helpful. I can't imagine that any of the clients that are watching this right now who you've helped them with their website and their marketing, I cannot imagine people just not doing backflips over what you've done for them, because that's how I feel working with you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful collaboration. And just for the people that might not be aware of DelMain, our tagline is we help dentists get more high quality new patients to their website. Like that's the primary focus. We do that through digital marketing, website design development. We have dentists throughout the United States, and we're very, very good at it.
I know you are. I've been going to him to pick his brain about the dental practice university, and he was even helping me with some things today so we get that information from you correctly. And yeah, so I felt like there's great synergy, because we want the doctors who get those new patients to keep the new patients for the rest of that doctor's career in dentistry.
Right.
And that's what we are good at.
Yeah.
Great merge that we met.
Mm-hmm.
Great collaboration. So guys, Dan, tell them again your website.
DelMain.co, DelMain.co.
And then we're dentalpracticesolutions.com, Dental Practice Solutions. We offer many solutions.com. And if you go there and grab a free resource, you will be one of the first people to know when we open up the doors for the Dental Practice University. Right now, we're beta testing it. And
I think we're about a week out, right?
Yeah, we're hoping to launch it live on June 6th.
June 6th. I think that's a week from today, right?
It's something like a week from today. A week from today, we hope to be live. So we're running a lot of tests. Dan's helping us too run some tests. He's been already running some tests for us.
It's going to be great. I mean, it's in beta testing now, but it's going to come out. And there's going to be thousands of hours of material between like the videos and the templates and the scripts and the webinars, right? So there's just a whole bunch of information for dentists in the hygiene department to really sort of kick that into the next step.
So my team was uploading the videos, and they told me that there were 26 videos, and that's for the first 2 weeks. So, I mean, even after the first 2 weeks, I don't know that your team can actually get through everything. I just want you to know how robust this is. It's very fruitful for your practice to have. And there are forms and scripts, and we give you these in PDF and Word so that you can customize them to make them your own. Anyways, Dan, thank you so much. I think we should go have happy hour now.
And signing off.
Okay, go have some happy hour, guys.
Happy Friday.
Thank you.